Hello, 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 everyone. This is Ebony Vaughn. And again, I always come to you with a word to encourage, to equip, and to empower each and every one of you. I am always so excited to come and to share with you guys. It is snowing. It looks beautiful outside. I hope that everyone is enjoying looking at God's creation while also relaxing and doing all of those things that you choose to do in the comfort of your home. I wanted to stop by just to talk about something that I have been writing about, something that I have been thinking about for a long time. And when I say thinking about it, when I say writing about it, trust and believe this is also something that God is walking me through, right? And I am so excited about that. Often, as always, I come to you talking about true leadership principles that I believe will help us in any setting that we abide in, whether that is in ministry, whether that is in marketplace, in our families, in our communities, or even in our own businesses. I truly believe that it is the work of the inner man that helps us to develop and to excel in every aspect of our lives. And today, what I want to talk about is something that you might have heard me talk about before, but maybe not as in depth. But I know without a shadow of a doubt that this is not new to any of us. But the thing that I want to talk about today, and I want to caution every person listening to this, is please, we must be careful about the wounds and the scars in which we lead from. I'm going to say that again. Leaders, as again, not just about ministry, not just in the marketplace, not just in business, but also maybe husbands and wives and, maybe parents, whatever role of leadership you serve in today. I want to caution you about the scars and the wounds that you maintain and consequently you lead from. I need you to hear that. One of the things that is important for us to understand is that when we are wounded or when we are scarred, although we feel that that could be a protected area and one that is not spilling out on others, what we don't always realize is that there are unconscious deliveries of our wounds that happens with those that we lead, okay? And it is important for us to be open enough to recognize what that looks like. And today I want to talk about something very specific, and that is when, as a leader, you deal with that spirit of rejection. Oh, I know this so well. But one of the things that I want to talk about is how rejection and insecurity shows up in our leadership delivery. Okay. And so when a leader struggles with rejection and insecurity, oftentimes what happens is they find themselves truly depending on the validation and approval of those that they're leading. Okay. And so when this happens, oftentimes it creates a culture that is toxic. It creates a culture that robs us of growth and development. And it is so important for us to understand this. It is important for us to understand that those wounds that we carry create silent cultures that is difficult to break through. Okay. And so when a leader is struggling with rejection and insecurity, it doesn't always show up as a weakness, right? You can't always see it. But what happens is it may show up as over accommodation. It may show up as people pleasing. It may show up as a constant need for approval from those that we are called to lead. Such a heavy burden, right? Because what happens is we create a culture that is damaging and limiting all because we haven't allowed ourselves to heal from that particular area. Okay. And so when approval becomes the goal of a leader, leadership gets compromised. We begin to compromise in our leadership. Okay. Our vision gets diluted, our standards get softened, and oftentimes it creates an environment of confusion and lack of clarity for those that we lead. Okay, this is real, guys. Okay, and so over time, what happens with this culture is we create a culture of loyalty over maturity. I need you to hear that. Oftentimes what happens is we will as leaders mistake agreement with alignment, because oftentimes when we are leading from a place of rejection, when we are leading from a place of insecurity, what happens is those that we lead become shaped by those scars and those wounds, and they begin to act accordingly with us. Do we understand that? Like, we begin to train people silently how to respond to our broken areas. We do that with our children. We do that in our ministries. We do that on our jobs as leaders in the community. What happens? We create a culture of yes men instead of critical thinkers. We create a family of people who are not themselves because they are busy trying to please and be what you want them to be as a leader, as a mother, as a father in the communities, whatever that may be. Over time, this culture also creates an environment where people are ego stroking as opposed to growing. Okay. I need you to hear this. And what happens in that? What happens when that takes place? It's compliance over accountability. And so sometimes in these environments that we are leading from that place of rejection, from that place of insecurity, it creates an environment that appears to be compliant, but it lacks accountability. These are the things that is important for us to understand. And I'm going to say it again. This happens in ministry. It happens in the marketplace. It happens in organizations. It happens in our families. I had to learn firsthand that I cannot lead effectively if I don't begin to deal with the matters of my heart. My unhealed insecurity sabotages my leadership abilities. Okay. If we want sober leadership, fam, we must first do the sober work. And that means getting honest with ourselves about what we struggle with and not projecting it on those that we serve. Remember, this is a liability, okay? Why? Because it could go against the culture we desire to create. Many of us as leaders have a very healthy desire, a healthy culture that we desire to create. However, because of those unhealed areas, such as rejection and insecurity, in which we're talking about today, those are the very things that become silent, toxic agents in our environment. For those of us who struggle with rejection, we have to allow the work of the Holy Spirit to heal us in those areas so that we don't spew it out on those that He has caused us to lead. I hope that this message was encouraging. God bless you, everyone, and have an amazing day.